This is a story about why financial statements matter. Suppose you recently learned that a long-lost relative died and left you a large sum of money. Let's dream big. Say $10 million. You don't know anything about handling money, so you consult a longtime family friend, Mary Jordan, who works in a well-known investment company. You figure that she might be able to help you decide what to do with it all. At your first meeting in her office, she tells you that you have two choices. In her words, you can consume the money, or you can invest it. By consuming it, she means you should live it up a little. Go out and just blow some of it. What do you want, a trip around the world, fashionable clothes, a big party, expensive meals? Whatever, just have a good time with it. Say $2 million. That's probably enough to answer that question we all ask ourselves one time or another. What would I do if I won the lottery? That's what she means by consuming it. Spend some of the money just for fun. You close your eyes and take a minute to imagine what you would do with $2 million. You catch yourself daydreaming and then quickly realize that you are in Mary's office. Your eyes open back up and you find yourself back in the real world thinking, maybe I should also be a little more responsible with some of it. What about the remaining $8 million? Mary, what should I do with that? Without hesitating, she states, invest it. Mary goes on to explain that investing involves turning the money over to someone else to get more money later. You know, pay $8 million now to get back $9 million later. In essence, you give up consuming now so you can consume more later. Sounds like a no-brainer and a more responsible thing to do. Mary offers you a few examples, like buying real estate or rare art objects, or buying stocks or bonds in companies like Google, or even just simply placing the money in the bank. Sounds simple. Give up money now to get more money later. Mary describes further that investing can be a little tricky because it involves the future, and she wants you to understand that she does not have a crystal ball. You can invest the $8 million, no problem, but you don't really know how much of it you're going to get back or when. The value of real estate can soar or tumble. Rare art objects can be Rembrandts or fakes. Google might continue to dominate the internet or be replaced by some new technology developed by a company that today does not even exist. And the bank, well, it could thrive, or, in an economic recession, be forced to close its doors. Investing can be risky. Mary has now gained your attention because you certainly don't want to throw away $8 million. She continues by noting that different investments involve different levels of risk, and the level of return you can expect varies with the level of risk. Risky investments like real estate can double your money overnight, but you can lose it just as quickly. High possible return, high risk. Putting your money in the bank, on the other hand, would offer a very small return in the form of interest paid to you. But because U.S. banks are insured by the federal government, the risk is extremely low that you would lose your investment. Low possible return, low risk. Mary concludes that you need to learn more about investment options and the risk and return combinations they offer. Before she leaves, however, she does make one suggestion. She says that you should diversify your investments, which means that you invest some in low return, low risk investments, say $2 million, some in medium risk, medium return investments, say $4 million, and some in high return, high risk investments, say $2 million. That way, you'll be able to rely on some dependable returns while still having a chance to hit it big. You thank Mary for her advice and begin to explore some different kinds of investments, finding that they come in all shapes and sizes, and some seem quite complicated. Very quickly, you become overwhelmed, confused, and frustrated. Just as you are about to give up your search and put all $8 million in the bank, a man by the name of J.P. Jones knocks at your door. Through a mutual friend, J.P. has heard of your recent windfall and states that he has an interesting offer for you. JP claims that he manages a very successful research company called Microline, owned by a group of European investors. In its short history, the company has earned a reputation for innovation in software development. As JP describes it, Microline's research staff is on the verge of designing a voice-activated word processing system that will revolutionize the industry. And to make that happen, Microline needs $5 million from you. You're pretty sure that while this kind of investment could generate a high return, at the same time, it seems pretty risky. You make that point to JP, who immediately responds by saying that Microline has been quite successful in the past and is currently in strong financial condition. To support his claim, he hands you a set of financial statements and says, "Take a look for yourself." You don't know much about financial statements, so you figure you better get back to JP later, after giving Mary a visit. You are off to Mary's office immediately, and she listens to your story, takes a quick look at Microline's financial statements and says, "You and I need to take a close look at these statements because they contain valuable information. They tell us about Microline's past financial performance, and they tell us about Microline's current financial condition. And this information will help you decide whether the possible high return offered by an investment in Microline is worth bearing the high risk that Microline might fail in the future." Mary concludes by stating, "Yes, this is why the financial statements are important. You must learn more about them if you are to make thoughtful investment choices in the future."